Hi Lana, welcome to the Community Living Golf Tournament. Just want to give you an opportunity here to view your swing a few times at regular speed. We'll let that play on through, and then we'll put you back in your dress position, and we can go ahead and take a look at a few things for you. So while we got you back here in your dress position, setup looks pretty good. Get your spine straight and on a slight tilt. Legs come down into a nicely unlocked position. Arms hang down nice and naturally out in front of you. Golf club works out to the ball, so you're achieving some good posture in association with some good balance, so that's great. Next thing we can observe from here has to do with your alignment. Feet are set up in this direction. Now club face is supposed to run parallel to your feet. Parallel lines on camera will have appearance of converging a little. So we can see you're sort of set up right down the right center of the fairway, so that's a great job as well. One thing I do want to point out, which we're going to have a difficult time seeing, is that we would like to take a look at your grip. Appears that your right hand might be considerably strong on the golf club, and when we do look at the grip, we like to look at it from a camera angle that's face on. So it's going to be difficult for you to understand maybe or see what I mean by a strong grip. So a strong grip is when the left hand is rotated over top of the club too much, and when the right hand is rotated underneath too much. At this point in time, I can see that your right hand appears to be underneath the golf club too much, is too strong, and we're not referring to strong as far as pressure on the club. We're talking about the positioning. And the positioning when a grip is strong will influence a closed club face, and it also make it very difficult for you to hinge your wrists during your backswing. At this point in time, we'll go ahead and do a little split screen comparison here between you and Chella Choi. Now we've got some color-coded lines up on the screen. They're here just as a visual reference to understand how the golf club is supposed to be moving with respect to swing plane. As Chella Choi initiates her takeaway, we're going to create some good shoulder rotation, draw the arms and hands back as well as the golf club, and in doing so, we won't need the club coming back directly along the red line. That simply means the club is coming back on proper plane. As we get the golf club back a little bit of ways here, we do have to incorporate some wrist hinge into play, allowing the club head to transition from being below the hands to now being above. And at this time, we're going to start working the golf club from red up towards yellow with continued shoulder rotation. When we finally set the golf club at the top of the backswing, we want the left arm situated on the yellow line with the club shaft within the blue-yellow V zone. And when we're at the top here, we would like to see that club shaft and club head a little closer to the yellow line as opposed to blue. At this point in time, we have full shoulder rotation. We do this about a very stable right leg, and we want to keep the weight on the inside part of that right foot. We can see as you initiate your takeaway, you draw your hands back, shoulders kick in. Club's coming back on a pretty decent plane. Club face is staying closed because there's not a lot of forearm rotation, and due to the fact that the grip is a little bit strong, again, with that right hand. And what we're definitely not seeing is we're not seeing any wrist hinge. So the golf club is not working from below to above your hands through cocking your wrists. So we can see here that the wrists remain very rigid with the golf club. There's not a lot of hinge. We're working that golf club to the top. When you finally get there, you do have good rotation in your shoulders. You maintain your spinal tilt, which is excellent. Very stable right side. But the left wrist bows and the hands are definitely out of position, and we haven't maximized the wrist hinge. So one of the things that we would definitely like to do is we would definitely like to learn how to create proper wrist hinge when we bring the golf club back during the backswing. And part and parcel of that too is making sure that we have a good grip. So two very important things there. Make sure we have a good grip, learn how to create proper wrist hinge when we make the backswing, because everything else that you're doing looks excellent. As we create our transition back in the ball, simply want to move our weight from our right to our left, fire our knees and our hips to the target, unwind our core and fire our hands, and in doing so we need to make sure that we're bringing the golf club from yellow back down on top of red. And that's exactly what we see here with Chella Choi. The golf club has returned right back to being on plane. The other thing we want to point out at this point in time is the relationship between the lead form and the golf club. I refer to this as the backwards check mark. Simply means we're retaining angle coming into the hitting zone, whereby the club head is situated still above and behind her hands. And this is what's going to allow us to create a lot of power in the golf swing, let alone hit the ball straight, because the club has returned to plane, as we already pointed out. With you, as you create your transition back into the ball, you drop your hands and arms very, very nicely. Looks really, really good here. Your hands then get pushed out in front of you a bit, and you're sort of throwing the club away. So what we can see here is you're pushing the club out in front of you, and the club is never going to return back to the red line. That's referred to as an over-the-top move, and that is going to cause you to attack the ball from what's referred to as outside to inside. So we can see the descending move into the ball is coming in too steep over the top. Club does not return back to on plane and or the red line coming into the ball. We can see with Chella Choi that her club comes into the golf ball from this red line, or actually in her case, even slightly underneath the red line. So she's actually attacking the ball a little too far from the inside. But as long as she squares the club face up, she's going to hit a good quality shot. Her aim is good. She's relatively coming into the ball from a perfect plane, just slightly underneath the red line. Club face squares up via having a good grip, and we'll hit a straight golf shot. And those are the three things we need criteria-wise to hit a straight ball. We have to aim correctly, bring the club down on plane in order to hit that straight shot in correlation to the alignment. And then obviously if the club face squares up by having a good grip, then we'll be very consistent with our ball striking. At this point in time, we can take a look at the path, now understanding the descending plane. We can see that Chella's club is inside the ball. The club expands out to make contact and then moves through in a nice natural subtle arc. Your club is basically a little bit too much directly behind the ball, then drops down and across, and we can see the path at which that golf club is moving on in that direction. So if the club face happens to square up to that path, what would happen is you would pull the golf ball out in that direction. If you over-release the club, not only will the ball head left, but then it would also draw even a little bit further left because you're imparting right to left spin. If we leave the club face open relative to this yellow path, then we'll create a little bit of sort of a little fading action, nothing that's really going to hurt you. And if you leave the club face too open, the ball will get blocked out a little bit more right of the yellow line, has more left to right spin, and that ball is probably going to now slice. So the end result of your golf shot, when we're swinging the club from an out to in path along that yellow line, the end result is dictated based on the timing of the club face. Over release it follows the yellow arrows, under release it follows the blue arrows, and if we time it okay, we'll be able to sort of follow those red arrows and find the intended target. Now, as we carry this golf swing through, we can see it impact Chella's right heels off the ground. We watch her continue to move through with her energy, and she now has to release that right heel up off the ground, so she gets up onto the toe of her right foot. This will allow her hips to square around, her shoulders to fully rotate, and get into a nice finishing position with her weight on her left side. So we can see here she's up on her toe. We can count all the spikes in the right shoe. The weight is in the heel of the left foot. She's posted up on her left leg. Hips are square to the target. She's fully rotated around with her shoulders. Her hands are high and her club's back in behind her. As we watch you move through, we can see your right heel almost wanted to come up. You can see your hips and shoulders really trying to work around, but there's a lot of resistance because your right foot is still on the ground, and that's going to create a lot of pressure in your lower back. So one of the things you definitely want to do is learn how to bring that right heel up off the ground, get up on the toe of your right foot, and that will be creating better footwork through the finish. It'll make your golf swing more efficient to the finishing position, make it easier to do for sure. Okay, so that's something you definitely want to concentrate on. In summary, again, setup looks really, really good. We definitely need to look at improving your grip, and then in association with a better grip, learning how to create proper wrist hinge during the backswing. Everything else looks pretty solid. And then on the downswing, definitely learning how to bring the club into the ball from on plane, not over top, so the swing path is not coming from out to in. And then as we're firing through, we need to create the proper footwork where the right heel comes up off the ground. We get up onto the toe of the right foot, so we're displacing all our weight on our left side. Okay? And we've got some excellent athletic ability here. Your hands work well, they come back, fire through. Your core's working well, you coil back, uncoil through. Some really good athleticism there. And if you could intermix some of the fundamental things that we've just discussed, you become a much better ball striker for sure. At any point in time you ever want to work on your golf game, I'm out at Glen Abbey, located in Oakville. Be happy to work on your golf game with you. And also, if you're involved with any tournaments and you're looking for a unique gift to provide to the participants in your event, feel free to touch base with me. All my contact information is at the end of this video, and be happy to discuss my swing analysis services for golf tournaments. Anyways, I hope you had a great day. Hope you enjoyed getting an opportunity to see your golf swing on video, and hope you have a great summer, and maybe we'll hear from you.